monsoon has arrived in Mumbai 16 days ahead of schedule, and instead of bringing joy, it has already brought misery. Actually, let's not blame the monsoon. It is the poor planning that should be blamed, and it's the same story every year. Look at these visuals on your screens right now. Mumbai, the financial capital of India, had its newly inaugurated metro station in Worli getting flooded. The water reached the gates of the station without any tickets, as well as the platforms. It was only waiting to board the metro now. Look at what happened in the national capital. In Delhi's IGI airport, a portion of the roof at Terminal 1 collapsed yesterday following a few hours of heavy rainfall. In Bengaluru, India's Silicon Valley, 5 people died due to rain-related incidents just last week. In fact, in Karnataka's Shiraguni village, rainfall made roads inaccessible. An elderly woman had to be carried in a basket to the hospital. And this, viewers, is not an isolated case. So the question citizens are asking tonight, what will it really take to fix the infrastructure? We're talking about big cities here. We're talking about metros here. And if this is the situation in metros, just wonder what will be happening in tier 2, tier 3 cities. It's the same story that repeats every year during monsoon and the pre-monsoon showers. Where are the taxes going? The money that we pay as tax? Can it ever be fixed? The crumbling infrastructure that we continue to talk about year after year. And this is what we plan to discuss with our guests who are joining us live this evening.
I'm reporting from Science Circle, King Circle, and you can see that it is a knee-deep water here accumulated into this area. Now, it is also important to highlight that currently I'm standing on a footpath, which is an elevated part of the road, and you can see the other side of the street is completely locked down currently.
We should ban the plastic bag totally. Because of the plastic bag, all the drainage system is not working properly, and because of that, in every street of the Mumbai, there is flood, even if there is only a little bit of rain.
Currently, I'm at Juhu Beach, and you can see that the ocean is quite rough, and tourists are not allowed to venture here on the beach. So this is the situation, and all the administration is put on high alert, whether it is disaster management or it is NDRF teams are also put on standby.
You can't challenge natural calamities. Whatever you can do, whatever you prepare, whatever you can in your infrastructure and everything. But about the natural calamities, you can't you cannot fight nature. You can't fight nature.
You're watching the News Hour at 10, debate number 2 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
And joining us on this debate are my guests. We have Sanju Verma, national spokesperson of the BJP, advocate Kapil Madan, who is a political analyst, Priya Chetty Rajgopal, who is a prominent citizen voice on the show, and Dr. Sudhir Krishna, former Secretary, Ministry of Urban Development. Thank you very much, all of you, for joining us here on this debate tonight. The question is for everybody. The citizens are asking, what will it take to fix the infrastructure? Let me begin this debate with you, Sanju Verma. Is it negligence, corruption, or incompetence? We are talking about making cities smart, but few hours of rain and look at the condition of our metros. And here I'm not talking about one specific metro. I've given examples, 3 examples that we got in the last few days. How will you like to respond?
You know, Hina, I speak not just as the national spokesperson of the BJP, but also as a concerned citizen and also as somebody who's been paying my taxes very diligently and assiduously. You know, so I'm wearing more than one hat. I have this to say, and I'm not going to be taking the easy route and say that, oh, you know, accountability should not be fixed. This was a natural calamity. Yes, what happened was catastrophic in more ways than one, but I'll come to that later. I just have this to say, that for the last 70, 75 odd years, never the monsoon or the southwest monsoon to be precise has hit Mumbai before the 11th or 12th of June, and I've been staying in Mumbai for donkey's years. You know, the last time it hit Mumbai on 29th May was way back in 1956. And this time, we've already had pre-monsoon showers on the 24th of May. And I'm told that, you know, officially the monsoon has hit Mumbai today, that is 26th of May. But more than the timing, let's just focus on one fact. And I think your viewers need to listen to this. Kolaba in South Mumbai received in just 48 hours 295 of rainfall. The highest in the last 107 years was way back in 1918 when Kolaba received 279 of rainfall. You know, 279 of rainfall is what, some places in the United States of America during rains receive over 6 to 9 months. And Mumbai received that in barely 48 hours. So the sheer scale of the, downpour, I don't think it caught the authorities by unaware, but it certainly wreaked and wreaked havoc with the system because Mumbai is built by combining 7 islands.
Right.
And that landmass has come together. So when there is heavy rainfall and there's also high tide, there's no way that the pumping stations can drain out the excess water. It's just not technically or humanly feasible. So what happened in the last 48 hours, unfortunately, was a natural catastrophe of gargantuan proportion.
Okay, we've got your point. We've got your point, Sanju Verma. Advocate Kapil Madan, the question I asked Sanju Verma is for you also. Because citizens today are asking, we are paying taxes. Where is it going really?
Hina ji, let me say one thing, and I say this with a sense of responsibility. When we have elections, we have all the netas, and across all political parties, I am not, pinpointing any particular party, but almost every neta would, promise moon. What we, as promises we, get is bullet trains, but what we actually get is broken drains. Now, this is not something, which is very new. This is not something which is very novel. In Delhi, let me tell you, last year we had several incidents where people lost their life to electrocution because of these, water that was being accumulated and, the electricity wire that got mingled.
Right.
And I when you begin the show, you made a statement and you ask a question whether it is negligence, whether it is corruption, whether it is incompetence. And I would say, when I ask this question to myself, I would say it's a cocktail of all three. And every babu who is responsible for, its municipal areas, they are being paid. They're being paid for taxpayers' money. They're being paid salaries, etc. They get perks, etc. This is high time that they should be called out. And in fact, and they should be called out, and their responsibility and accountability should be fixed.
Okay.
Not just about the netas, but about the babus also.
Okay. Priya Chetty Rajgopal, we've got two views here. One, extremely heavy rainfall, what Sanju Verma spoke about, 295 millimeters of rain, and no way any system can deal with sudden rainfall, etc. Advocate Kapil Madan spoke about fixing responsibility, time to fix responsibility of the babus also. As a citizen, what does it make you feel?
A sense of this professional outraging that we do every year, is a little painful. We are all reasonably intelligent people, and to see this happening year after year, for us in Bangalore, the rains are always a constant source of surprise. And every time we're told that this is the highest May we've had or the highest April we've had, and it goes on, So I think that has been a little difficult to kind of swallow. Having said that, we have some really good bureaucrats. We have a huge shift which has happened. We have a new commissioner, a new administrator. So there's going to be a little bit of settling in times, and these are good administrators. But the system itself, is kind of inured to failure. So we are expected to fail. And I think that, if you ask me, is one of the biggest issues we have, particularly in Bangalore, that failure is not either responded to with sufficient penalty or with sufficient corrective measures. It's taken as par for the course. But the par for the course is 5 deaths. It's electrocution, it's loss of, effort, time, and the loss to the exchequer is certainly something you need to take for granted, particularly in cities like Bangalore, where, commute matters a lot. I won't talk about Bombay because Bombay is a really different scale in terms of the monsoon.
Right.
So in Bangalore, as a citizen, there are, this is the nearest. We've just gone through this huge, kind of almost patriotic fervor when it came to what's happening with our neighboring country.
Right.
And we can see how the country is so aligned, that the two, in terms of how we feel about the country. I'm saying maybe this is the nearest. A city like Bangalore, which I can talk about, is the nearest we've come to a war. We are citizens almost against the system.
Yes.
And for a land-bound, very internally focused, otherwise a very safe city, this is what we really cannot bear, and it needs to be actioned. Now, one thing which I'm glad to see different people, cogent voices. But what I also see a lot of is in panels like this, for example, is when we bring in political parties, it becomes a bit of a blame game, which is not happening now, but I'm saying it does. So people like us,
we are done blaming.
it's like a tennis match. I'm just watching back.
We are done blaming. Even we want to say enough is enough. It's the same story that repeats every year. And today, specifically why I took this story up, Dr. Sudhir Krishna, because today only we are celebrating India becoming the 4th largest economy in the world. We are aiming to become 3rd largest economy. We are moving towards AI. We are doing so much of development. We are making smart cities, but we can't handle even a little bit of rain that comes before its normal time. I want to ask you, can this ever be fixed, or should we just learn to deal with it, live with it, perhaps start buying boats now to go to offices if we are in Bengaluru or Mumbai, because it's just the beginning. Monsoon season has just started.
Well, I think it can not only be fixed, but it can be fixed gainfully also. To a good extent. To some extent, heavy rains will lead to flooding world over. Every city faces that challenge. So to some extent, we have to accept, but not to the extent that we are seeing in our cities. And because the paradox is that in the summer season, the same cities face acute shortage of water.
Yes.
So in the very, very fundamental principle is that when it rains, preserve the water, store the water. So therefore, the water bodies have to be, most of the water bodies have got silted up, or they are, they have been demolished also. Construction has taken place where there used to be water body in many cases. Bangalore is a classic lakes and tanks. But now today, so many lakes, from 400 lakes 100 years ago, now they have something like 50, 60 lakes only. And those two most are polluted and very shrunk also. So in the first instance, water bodies have rejuvenated and they have to be made to hold the water. That is the first thing. And it is a medium-term solution. And in the immediate run, the drainage lines have to be cleared. The drainage channels, both natural as well as man-made drains, both have been encroached thoroughly. And they can be improved. We have got examples.
I have one more question. The designers, the engineers, the urban planners, say in the case of Delhi or in the case of metro, where the metro station, the underground metro station saw flooding, and in the case of Delhi, where a part of the roof collapsed, shouldn't the designers, urban planners, engineers also be held accountable?
Well, design is an issue, no doubt. The design has to, because the design has to be revisited. Why? Because the rainfall pattern has changed. Earlier, we used to have some modest
Shouldn't there be penalties on these people so that they, also do a better job? I mean, somebody needs to take the responsibility. Very quickly, 10 seconds, Advocate Kapil Madan, I'll come to you. Dr. Sudhir Krishna, to you first. Just 10 seconds.
Yes, definitely there has to be accountability, no doubt about it. There has to be accountability, but we have to go into fundamentals also.
Okay.
Because if you put accountability on one side and the arrangement where, the fragmented arrangement of governance, where the water bodies are handled by so many organizations.
Advocate Kapil Madan, just 10 seconds closing comments, please, and then
Yes,
Sanju Verma.
Hina ji, and thank you for raising this airport issue. You may recall last year also on Terminal 1, Delhi, a roof collapsed and one person lost his life. And they have revamped, spent crores of rupees and made a new terminal. And look what we had. We had almost similar kind of an incident where the roofs have gone down. So I think it's high time you should also make these private companies, contractors responsible.
Well, absolutely, the buck needs to stop somewhere, and at the doorstep of people who are responsible. Sanju Verma, 10 seconds closing comments, please.
Hina, the irony is that for 3 days last week, at the height of massive rainfall downpour that Bengaluru saw, I happened to be in Bengaluru, and there is nothing called roads. It's filled with large potholes the size of craters. You wouldn't find these craters even on moon. So Siddaramaiah, आपने तो चंद्रमा बैंगलोर की सड़कों पर लाकर दिखा दिया जनता को. And it is all fine to talk about accountability.
मुंबई में तो बिना टिकट के पानी मेट्रो तक चला गया. It was just waiting to board the metro. It entered the platform and the station also. Anyways, I really am out of time, completely out of time, but appreciate all of you for joining us here on Times Now and sharing with us your perspective. We really hope things will get better. It's the beginning of the monsoon, and this has just given a glimpse of what can be expected with the kind of alerts that have come from IMD. Thank you very much, all of you. Sanju Verma, Advocate Kapil Madan, Priya Chetty Rajgopal, and Dr. Sudhir Krishna. Appreciate you for joining us here on this debate.